For many people, the arms, neck, and shoulders is a place of great tension. We use our hands all the time in daily activities, from driving cars, to using computers, to carrying things. Our arms work for us all the time, and very often we forget to stretch the channels that go to the hands and the forearms. And this tension in the hands and forearms contributes to the tension that comes all the way up into the neck and shoulders. So if we can release the tension at the hands and the forearms, we'll open the channels that lead up to the neck and shoulders and release tension there. This is an excellent video for those of you who work on a computer many hours of the day, who are often driving, who have small children, or who use your hands for your work in a repetitive or strenuous way, such as a massage therapist or an artist. So make yourself comfortable. We'll be sitting for the entire class, so you want to make sure you have a cushion or pillows, yoga mat or blanket to make sure that you're comfortable throughout the session. You can start by sitting on your knees or on your sits bones with the legs crossed, any way that you can make yourself comfortable. But really make sure that you are truly comfortable so you can sit and you can focus on your practice. If your shoulders are very tight, at the end of class we will be doing a stretch for the shoulders. You may want to have a strap handy so that you can reach behind your back and grab the strap if your hands don't reach together to clasp behind your back. So let's start with the hand stretches. Once you've come into a comfortable seated position, allow the shoulders to relax. Take a moment to feel your sits bones and the base of your spine. And let your body just settle down into the floor or into your heels or cushion, giving your body a chance to just settle in. Close your eyes and take a moment to just notice your breath. Notice if the breath is fast or slow. Notice if the breath is long or short. And even notice where the breath is in your body. Are you breathing mostly in the upper chest? Or are you breathing down into the belly? Just feeling what's happening in your body before we change anything. And then let's invite the breath to move down into the belly if it isn't already there. So allowing the belly to expand out with each inhalation, allowing the belly to hug in with each exhalation. Continue with this belly breath as we start our practice. We'll be doing stretches for the hands first. Take your right hand, flex the wrist forward. Take a hold of the thumb and draw the thumb towards your forearm. We'll be holding each of the hand stretches for 1 full minute. This is a positional therapy technique that gives the muscle time to relax. When the muscle is given the time to relax, it automatically lets go of its memory of tension. Then allowing the muscle to soften, and then it can be stretched and lengthened. This is much more effective than just trying to stretch out a tension, as oftentimes the muscle needs to soften and relax first before it can be lengthened. So for full range of motion, the thumb would actually be touching the forearm. For most of us, that's not the case. But as you do these stretches, you will see progress very quickly. Even if you do one round of all the stretches on one hand, and then go back and start over, you'll notice an immediate difference. But when done every single day, once or twice a day, this becomes a very powerful tool for keeping the channels of the arms, head, neck, and shoulders open, giving relief from pain and tension and stress in the arms, wrists, fingers, and hands. You want to make sure there's no strain in the stretch here. We're letting the thumb come towards the forearm to a place where there feels like there's some resistance. But make sure there's no pain, especially if you have any problems with the wrists, forearms, or elbows. Then go ahead and flex the wrist back. Now take the thumb again and draw it towards the forearm. Again, here in this position, healthy range of motion is the thumb touching the forearm. You might think, really? Can someone do that? And it is true. I've seen many people who have very healthy and full range of motion. But just because your thumb doesn't touch your forearm doesn't mean you're not getting a good stretch. In fact, as I said earlier, the relaxation that the shortened muscle gets is really the magic of the stretching. So each finger in Ayurveda is related to one of the 5 elements. The thumb is related to the ether element, or space. So the thumb is connected to all the places in the body that are related to space. So think about the lungs. The lungs are empty sacs that take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So most of the bulk of the lungs is actually space. Another place that has a lot of space in the body is the cranium. So the brain takes up a good portion of that space, but really the cranium is just a hollow space surrounded completely by bone. So the brain and the lungs are 2 main places that are connected to the thumb. In fact, at the very tip of the thumb, next to the nail, there's a marma point that helps to relieve tension, pain in the head. And in the Chinese medicine tradition, the channel of energy that runs up through the thumb is the lung meridian. Release the stretch. And now the third and final stretch for the thumb. Take the thumb and bring it across the palm. Hold on to the thumb with the strength of your other hand and pin it against the palm. Now twist out towards your pinky finger. You should feel a twist across the wrist. Depending on where your tension is, you may feel this in different places. Some people feel it across the forearm. Some people feel it in the thumb. And some people feel it in the thick muscle in here that now gets to relax. So take a moment to come back to the breath, knowing that this stretch, this thumb, is connected to the spaciousness of the lungs. Let's see if we can take a few deep, deep breaths, slowing down the breath as much as you can, making it smooth and flowing as possible. Release the thumb. We've now done 3 stretches for the thumb. We'll move on to each finger. All of the fingers can bend back, and the full range of motion for each of these fingers is a 90-degree bend at the wrist and a 90-degree bend at the finger joint. So if you have full range of motion, when you bend your finger back, your fingertip would be pointing back at your elbow. Each finger is going to be very different. That's why we want to do them individually and take time to find the place where there's a nice stretch but no strain in the joints. Starting with the index finger. The index finger is related to the element of air. Air is the movement through a hollow, empty space. So in the body, one of the biggest places where there is movement through a hollow organ is the large intestines. And in fact, in Chinese medicine, this meridian that runs up through the index finger is the lung meridian. So you can see that in many healing systems, this understanding of the fingers connected to internal organs or internal functions is prevalent. Take a few deep breaths here. Notice if the wrist is gripping in any way. See if you can soften. Each exhalation is an opportunity to try and let go. Notice if maybe your shoulder on the right side is raised, or maybe your elbow has been sticking out. Let it drop down. And take those deep belly breaths to tell your body it's safe to relax. Release the index finger and move on to the middle finger. Bringing it back gently until you find a comfortable stretch. Going towards a 90-degree bend at the wrist, 90-degree bend at the finger joint. So the middle finger is related to the element of fire. This fire is found in many places in the body, but particularly the main site is in the stomach. What we call Agni resides in the stomach. And the Agni, or the strength of your Agni, also determines the strength of your health, the strength of your constitution, the strength of your immunity. So a strong digestive fire is very important from an Ayurvedic perspective. Let's focus our energy on the center of the body now. So continuing with the deep breath, but letting that deep breath move up into the belly region, surrounding the navel, letting that area press out, and expanding all the space underneath the lower ribs. This is where all those fiery organs exist. Imagine a releasing happening from the middle finger all the way in through the arm, through the chest, and down into your belly. And releasing the middle finger. Moving on to the fourth finger. Again, drawing the finger back to a comfortable stretch, making sure there's no strain or resistance. Relaxing the shoulders down, elbows sinking down towards the floor. And notice if the left hand that's helping to do the stretch has any strain in it. Try and use the fingers gently, let gravity support you here. So this fourth finger or ring finger is related to the element of water. In the body, the element of water is all the lubrication in our body. This lubrication is very important because it balances out the friction or fire or heat that is created from all the movements that happen in our body every single day. The lungs moving in and out. The circulation of the blood through the entire body. The padding around the heart, the pericardium. All these places with movement must be cushioned by water. Even the joints where the bones are connecting and moving. These places have extra lubrication. So this water element relates to many things in the body. It relates to the digestive process, the saliva from your mouth, and all the liquid or mucus that lines the digestive tract. It's connecting to the kidneys, which are the way that we filter the fluids of the body. So noticing if you can soften this finger a little bit more as we hold it for a few more seconds. Taking one nice deep full breath and then releasing, seeing if the hand can soften a little bit more and slowly releasing. And then taking the pinky finger, drawing it back. The pinky finger is sometimes very delicate, so be careful in drawing it back that you don't pull it past its point of comfort. Go to the feeling of stretch, pause there, maybe back off a little tiny bit, and then settle in to relax here. This fifth finger is related to the earth element. In Chinese medicine, it's also connected to the heart. The heart meridian runs up through the pinky finger. From an Ayurvedic perspective, this earth element does correspond also to the heart, because the womb in the woman is the place where everything is built. The earth or structure of a child develops in the womb. And it is said that the womb and the heart are one organ in two separate places. So that love of the mother for the child in the womb is really one function in the body, just existing in two different places. So we can see this deep wisdom of how the body is connected happens in Ayurveda and other cultures that use the basis of nature and earth for their system of medicine. So by opening and stretching these channels, we give the energy or prana room to flow. And when that energy is flowing properly, it nourishes these internal organs and helps their functions to be carried out properly. So while we're alleviating tension in the hands, in the wrists, the forearms, and all the way up to the neck and shoulders, we're also doing something very important for the internal functioning of our bodies, creating harmony. Finally, we're going to make a fist. Use the strength of the other hand to hold the fist down. Here we're stretching all of the muscles on the flexor side of the forearm at once. You could do these individually if you choose, but it's easy to make a fist and hold all the fingers at an appropriate stretch. Begin with your deep belly breaths. And let's start to cultivate a full Dirga Pranayam. Dirga is the three-part breath. So we've already worked into two parts of the breath. We first filled the belly with breath. We then filled the belly and the upper belly above the navel, the lower chest, the lower lobes of the lungs, the middle region of the body with breath. So now we're going to complete the three-part breath by filling the upper lobes of the lungs. So take in breath into the lowest part of the abdomen first, then filling into the middle part of the body, and finally completing by inhaling up just below the collarbones, letting the upper chest expand. And then we're going to reverse the breath by dropping the collarbones first, then exhaling the center of your body, and finally hugging the navel and the lower abdomen into the spine to press out all the air. Continue with this flow, letting the breath glide up the body and then come back down like a waterfall, top to bottom. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And now we can release the hand. We've done all the stretches, 8 stretches for this hand. Now we're going to repeat on the other side. But let's take a moment just to shake out any tension in that hand first. If you feel like you need to switch positions to be comfortable for the next 15 or so minutes, feel free to adjust your position now. So once you've seated yourself comfortably in your new position, let your body begin to relax and settle in. And we'll begin on the other side doing the finger stretches. However, this time, as we hold each stretch for a minute, we'll take time to focus mostly on the breath and let go of the attention on the stretch. So starting with the thumb on the left hand, flex the wrist forward, bring the thumb towards the forearm. Hold it in a place where there's a nice stretch, but no strain. And now let's go back to that 3-part yogic breath, the Dirga Pranayama. Inhaling from the lowest part of the belly all the way up to the upper part of the lungs. And exhaling down. And if you would like now, you can go ahead and add the Ujjayi sound to the Dirga Pranayama. Ujjayi is a gentle constriction in the back of the throat. It's a very soft constriction. And it creates a very soft sound, like water flowing, like a wave washing up and washing out. That gives you a place to lock your attention or your focus, so that you're feeling and hearing and experiencing the breath fully as much as you can, drawing you into a place of meditation on the breath. I'll make the sound of Ujjayi for you now. The Ujjayi is created, you can imagine, by a ha sound. Almost like you were going to fog up a mirror through your mouth. But without doing it through your mouth, doing it through the nose. So you can practice that sound and then close the eyes and enjoy the sound of the breath along the feeling of the deep 3-part breath. You can keep the eyes closed and continue with the deep breath as you transition to the next stretch. Flex the wrist back now. Take the thumb and draw it back, bending it towards the forearm again. See how slow and quiet and soft you can make the Ujjayi. See if you can make it almost imperceptible, just so you hear the softest sound, the gentlest constriction. And then you can begin noticing those little pauses after the exhalation, before you inhale again. Let yourself just linger in those places with no breath. Those quiet, still places between the inhalation and exhalation. It's in those moments of stillness that your healing energies are fully activated. So the more time you can spend with the deep breath, pausing in those still places, the more time your body has to send its healing energy all through the circulation. Release the thumb, third and final stretch. Bring the thumb across the palm, palm facing out. Pin the thumb against the palm with the strength of the other hand. And now twist the hand out towards your pinky finger. Come back to the deep breath. And this time we're going to add a little bit of a holding. So we're going to build a deep, full breath. And then at the top of the breath, we're going to sip in a little more air, like you're sipping through a straw, filling up all the empty spaces in the lungs, putting in as much oxygen and breath as we can. And then from that place, we'll drop the chin and hold the breath in as long as you comfortably can. So start with a deep, full breath. At the top of the breath, sip in more air. Then drop the chin and hold. Notice if while you're holding, you're creating more tension in the neck and shoulders. See if you can soften that. And then maybe notice, is there some resistance to holding the breath? When the sensation gets big, is it hard to hold? Hard to relax? And once again, as much as you can, soften the body around the holding. And then when you can't hold the breath anymore, just sigh it out. Take a round of breath on your own. Deep inhale, deep exhale. And on the second inhalation, let's hold again, filling fully with breath, filling up any empty spaces. Drop the chin towards the chest and hold. Try and lengthen the spine, lifting the back of the head towards the ceiling while the chin drops. And now try and soften the shoulders, the ribs, the belly, holding just with the strength of your chin lock. See if you can hold past that first urge to release the breath. And then when you can't hold it any longer, sigh it out. Release the thumb. We'll move on to each of the fingers. The first index finger stretch, we're going to do that same breath. You're going to do 2 rounds of it on your own at your own pace. Between each holding, take a full round of inhalation and exhalation. the index finger. Move on to the middle finger stretch. Again, bringing the finger back towards the forearm, pointing towards your elbow if possible. And this time we're going to do a little more of a warming breath. So you're going to imagine that you are a bellows. So a bellows is what you use to stoke a fire. And it blows air out and it sucks air in, and blows air out and sucks air in. So we're going to use a breath like that. We're going to start out very slowly, and we're going to increase the pace of it. And then after we finish the breath for about 30 seconds, we'll just sit in stillness. And if you don't need to breathe during that time, if you already have enough oxygen in your system, you can just sit in stillness with no breath. But if you feel the need to breathe, go ahead and inhale, and then exhale whenever you're ready. So slow things down as much as possible as we hold after this breath. Begin the bellows breath, let your belly expand, take a nice deep breath in, and begin. Exhale, inhale, full belly exhale, full belly inhale. So pretend your belly is the pump. Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace. And last time, pick up the pace. Exhale all the air and sit in stillness. Close the eyes, draw the awareness down into the belly. You might notice a calmness. No need for breath. This is because we've oxygenated the blood fully, and the body feels safe to relax. Release the middle finger and move on to the fourth finger. Again, if you feel like there's any tension in your shoulders, you could take a few shoulder circles, one direction and then the other, to release any tension that you're holding. And when we go back into the stretch, remember to relax the shoulders down. Fourth finger comes back into a stretch, bending at the wrist and bending at the finger joint. So let's do that bellows breath one more time. When we do the bellows breath, we're taking in a lot of oxygen in a very short time. And when we do that, when the blood is fully oxygenated, the body feels very safe. And in that safe space, you can sit very quietly and enjoy the stillness. So let's do one more round of the bellows breath. Imagine the belly as the pump, so the breaths are as deep and full as you can get them, and start to increase the pace over and over and over. Start with a nice deep breath in. And begin. Increase the pace. And increase the pace again. As fast as you can. And exhale fully. Close the eyes, hold the breath out, remain in stillness as long as you can. And releasing the ring finger. Last finger, we'll do the bellows breath 1/3 and final time. And this can be used as a mind-stopping meditation. So if you're busy during the day and you feel your mind circling the same thoughts over and over and over, this is a great way to stop the mind from its ramblings, to bring focus and stillness back into your day. So you can do the bellows breath for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then you can sit in stillness until you feel any thought arise. The moment you feel a thought arise, you can go back into the pumping of the bellows breath. Continue for another 20 to 30 seconds, and then sit in stillness as long as you can until a thought arises. And each time a thought arises, whether it's 1 second after you finish or 5 minutes after you finish, go right back into the breath. In this way, you can use it as a meditation for stopping the mind and creating more stillness. Let's do a final round of bellows breath. Nice deep breath in, and begin. Exhale fully, remain in stillness, close the eyes, and this time feel the stretch. Direct the attention to that little pinky finger, sending healing energy and love and breath. When you need to inhale, you can, and then hold again on the inhalation until the desire for breath becomes strong. Holding after an exhalation is cooling for the body, while holding after the inhalation is warming for the body. Alternating between the two is very balancing for the body. So we've completed each of the finger stretches. Let's make a fist, tuck the fingers in, and then hold the fist down, stretching along the top side of the forearm. And let's take this opportunity to go back to that deep belly breath and see if you can notice a difference. As we breathe deeply and vigorously with the bellows breath, we oxygenate the body. We calm the nervous system, and we open channels. So by doing this stretch and adding pranayama to it, we're really pumping energy through the channels of the upper body, helping to release tensions, release blockages, and possibly even release emotions. The arms are the way in which we reach out to the world. We use the hands for holding, for healing, for massaging, for helping, for lifting, a handshake, a pat on the back. All these are ways that we nurture ourselves and each other with our hands. But the hands also can be used to push the world away or to strike out when we're angry. Think of all the ways you've used your hands throughout your lifetime, and think of all the energetic impressions that may be lingering there. Is there a lack of love and nurturing? Is there anger and frustration? Is there a desire to push away the world, to isolate yourself? If any of these things ring true for you. Then doing these hand stretches, take time to focus on letting go of whatever it is you've noticed. A nice breath for letting go of anger, frustration, emotions is a deep, full breath followed by a ha, 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 ha. So when you're practicing these stretches throughout the day, maybe sitting at your computer, waiting in the car, maybe even under the table in an office meeting, you can be giving yourself some nurturance, some love, some attention. And when you feel safe and comfortable, you can add the breath practices with it. Go ahead and release the hand, and again, let's give it a gentle shake.